Let's say we had a small town of 10,000 people. Doesn't matter where, just somewhere where the people generally shared the same customs, the same political, economic, and legal systems, as well as general attitudes about proper social behavior. And then we all of a sudden infuse that small town with 1,000 newcomers who had very different political, economic, legal, faith, and social traditions and customs. Do you think that it might lead to some degree of social upheaval just by the very nature of the fact that they have very different worldviews? What if the percentage of crimes being committed went up significantly and were disproportionately committed by the 1,000 new arrivals? What if the way the police and courts enforced the laws of the land appeared to noticeably favor the newcomers over the original inhabitants? And what if voicing concerns about this publicly and on social media could result not just in public backlash and accusations of bigotry, but could actually land you in jail and with sizable fines? Do you suppose that any of this might cause problems? Maybe a sense of distrust and animosity? If your answer is yes, then you can understand why the UK may be heading to large-scale civil unrest, if not outright civil war in the not-so-distant future. Because according to the British Office of National Statistics, over the last 10 years, nearly 7.5 million non-British immigrants have come to the UK through a variety of legal and illegal mechanisms, which equals close to 10% of the entire population of the country. But non-British immigrants does not necessarily mean a departure from all important customs and traditions, right? So, where did the vast majority of these immigrants come from? Well, in 2023 alone, 250,000 people came from India, 141,000 from Nigeria, 90,000 from China, 83,000 from Pakistan, and 36,000 from Zimbabwe. Other non-EU countries include Afghanistan, Iran, and Vietnam, which contributed smaller but notable numbers, particularly via asylum routes. Afghans made up 17% of small boat arrivals in 2024 alone. Now, many of these arrivals have been students, workers, or family members, but there is an ever-growing portion that have come in the form of illegal channel crossings. And you would be hard-pressed to claim that the countries and cultures that most of these immigrants come from bear any resemblance to the UK. So this begs the question, is assimilation happening? Well, far from assimilating into British culture, the vast numbers with which people have arrived has instead created large foreign enclaves within the UK, which is made obvious by clicking through the various ethnic groups on this interactive map provided by the Office of National Statistics. Furthermore, when we look at the UK prison system and measure it by the incarceration rate per 1,000 foreign nationals, we can begin to see another pretty obvious problem. And on top of obvious cultural and crime-related problems, there's also an economic cost to accompany the apparent costs in social cohesion. While many sites will claim that most immigrants are not eligible for most mainstream public welfare services, this does not seem to take into account the various ways that the system can be scammed or manipulated. In fact, some of the same organizations that assure British citizens that migrants can't access forms of public assistance also consider that to be a bad thing and openly advocate for them to be able to access those programs, while also ignoring that an ever-growing number of people from places like Afghanistan, Somalia, and Pakistan all seem to have made it quite a long distance from their own countries before they finally seek asylum within the United Kingdom. And why are they seeking asylum in the UK? Well, because you will get housing, food, money, phones, all on the public dime while they assess your asylum claim. And you have a better than 50-50 chance that they will approve it, which will then open you up to more public assistance programs. Add to all of these factors the fact that many in the British government, police force, and state-subsidized media seem far more interested in policing Brits for angry tweets than they do going after illegal immigration, criminals, and grooming gangs. And you create the impression that the British government not only wants what is happening to happen, but is and has been openly facilitating it for years. So, is the UK headed to civil war? Well, let's ask ourselves a very basic question. If pleading doesn't work, if protesting doesn't work, if voting doesn't work, then what other options are left to an exacerbated population who feels ignored and neglected in their own country? And let's hope that someone not only starts listening, but actually starts doing something about it soon. Because truth be told, the UK used to have one of the most effective and impressive immigration systems in the world. But that was back when it was a system that valued its own country's traditions and culture. So maybe it's time to try that again.